Accenture ACN, Beginner's Guide. If you have ever heard a story about a giant company going digital or moving to the cloud or rolling out AI across the business, there is a very good chance Accenture, ACN, was the firm hired to actually make it happen. Accenture is the world's largest consulting and IT services company, with about 786,000 employees and roughly $65 billion in annual revenue. Today we will walk through what they sell, who they compete with, and why the business has grown. Quick note, this is for learning only, not investment advice. So, what does ACN actually do? Accenture really has two main businesses, and they're almost the same size. The first is called consulting, which brings in about $33.5 billion a year, roughly 52% of revenue. Think of consulting as renting expert brains by the hour. A big bank might hire Accenture to design a new strategy, pick which cloud platform to use, redesign how customer service works, or plan a rollout of artificial intelligence, AI, the technology that lets software analyze data, write text, and automate tasks that used to need a human. Accenture's consultants come in, study the problem, and design the solution. The second business is called managed services, which brings in about $31.5 billion, the other 48% of revenue. This is the we don't just design it, we also run it business. Once the new system is built, Accenture often keeps operating it for the client, running their software applications, managing their cloud infrastructure, the servers and networks that live in someone else's data center, handling cybersecurity, and even running entire business processes like payroll or claims handling. That last category is called BPO, Business Process Outsourcing, which just means another company runs a chunk of your day-to-day operations for you. Managed services is the more predictable side of Accenture because clients sign multi-year contracts, so revenue keeps flowing month after month. To picture how the company actually works, imagine a sandwich. On one side are the suppliers, the cloud giants like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud, plus software partners like SAP, Salesforce, ServiceNow, and Workday, and increasingly AI platform companies like OpenAI and Palantir. In the middle is Accenture itself with its 786,000 people. On the other side are the customers, mostly the Global 2000, which is shorthand for the 2,000 largest companies on Earth, spanning banks, hospitals, consumer brands, telecom carriers, energy utilities, and more. So, who does ACN compete with, and how does it win? Accenture's competitors come in two flavors. In high-end consulting, they go up against firms like Deloitte and IBM. In the more outsourcing-style work, they compete with the big Indian IT services companies, TCS, Infosys, Cognizant, and Wipro, which can deliver similar work at lower hourly rates by using engineers based in India. So why does Accenture still win the deals? The honest answer is that they have what people call a moat. Moat just means a competitive advantage, the thing that keeps other companies from catching up. Accenture's moat is what we'd call narrow, meaning real but not unbreakable. Three things give them an edge. First, scale. They serve more than 9,000 clients across every major industry, and once a client has Accenture running 10 projects, it is easier to give them the 11th than to onboard a new vendor. Second, breadth. Almost no rival can do strategy, technology, and day-to-day operations all under one roof, so big customers love being able to consolidate spending with one partner. Third, partnerships. Accenture is the largest implementation partner for nearly every major enterprise software vendor on Earth, which means it sits at the center of the ecosystem. The reason the moat is described as narrow rather than wide is that artificial intelligence is starting to automate some of the work consultants used to do by hand, things like translating data between systems, generating reports, and writing routine code. Accenture's bet is that they help clients deploy that AI themselves, and we'll come back to that in a minute. What are the key drivers for the business over the past 5 years? Three forces have driven Accenture's growth over the last 5 years. The first is the shift toward managed services. That recurring, contracted business has grown to almost half of revenue, and a lot of that work is delivered on Accenture's own software platforms at a fixed price. More than 60% of the work today is fixed price rather than hourly. Fixed price plus platforms equals higher margins, because if Accenture finishes the job faster using its own tools, they keep the savings. The second driver is disciplined margin expansion. Operating margin, which is just the percentage of every revenue dollar that turns into profit before interest and taxes, has climbed from roughly 14.5% to about 15.7% over 5 years. They did that by carefully managing their workforce pyramid, having the right mix of junior and senior people on every project, while also pouring money into higher value work, especially around AI and data. The third driver, and arguably the most important one going forward, is acquisitions. Accenture spends roughly $5 billion a year buying smaller companies that plug capability gaps, AI-native specialist firms, cybersecurity firms, data center engineering firms, and mid-sized market specialists. The point of these deals is to add capabilities Accenture cannot build from scratch fast enough, and many of them bring revenue that doesn't depend on selling more consultant hours, which is a healthy diversification of the business model. The big strategic question hanging over Accenture today is how this $65 billion business adapts to the AI revolution. Accenture has trained or hired more than 85,000 AI and data professionals, embedded over 1,000 AI agents into client systems, and signed about $43 billion of bookings in just the first half of the fiscal year. The optimistic view is that Accenture becomes the trusted partner global enterprises pick to deploy AI at scale. The cautious view is that some of the work AI automates is exactly the work Accenture used to bill for. To wrap up, so in one sentence, Accenture is the world's largest professional services firm, helping the biggest companies on Earth design, build, and operate the technology that runs their business, with growing emphasis on artificial intelligence. As a learner, the thing to keep an eye on is the AI pivot, specifically whether managed services keeps growing and whether new AI-related bookings keep accelerating, because that is the leading indicator of how the business model is evolving. Again, this is educational only, not investment advice. The goal here is just to understand the business before you do any deeper homework.